Now, once all that's done, what we do once all that's finished is we're going to recruit volunteers. Okay, and so I've got on here use internal resources. That's the team, like the leader. The leader is the person that gets on there and gets this done. Okay, so use internal resources to do that. And again, so that's going to come from the church. As a leader, if you've got people that have already said they want to volunteer, like go to those volunteers. Go to those volunteers and ask them, hey, do you know anybody that thinks that that will want to do this? Okay. You can communicate this out to the church, have the church announce, hey, we've started a security or safety ministry. Look, on this date, there's going to be a meeting. So put an interest meeting on. And what that interest meeting does is it communicates all the expectations. So the church announces it, announce the date, have some coffee and some donuts or something there for them, for the people that are going to show up. When they show up, the whole purpose of this is, number one, to explain the purpose of the ministry, and number two, communicate expectations to those volunteers. And what that means is you're going to tell them what the service requirements are. So like when are they going to have to serve, how many hours a week or how many hours a month? Like what services the security ministry is going to cover, because more than likely they're not going to cover every service. They're not going to cover every special event, everything, every time the door is open. They're probably not going to cover that. The resources for it, but they're going to cover some of it. So what that looks like, BI stands for background inquiry. And so, they need to have a background done. So explain to them that they're going to have to go through some kind of a background process. And then also explain to them what the training and training qualification assessment process looks like. So, hey, once you understand the service requirements, you tell me you want to do it. You've prayed about it with your family. You come back, you do your background investigation inquiry. You pass that. Then you're going to have to go through this amount of training. You're not going to get paid for it. You're going to have to, if you're going to require them to buy ammo or whatever you're doing, then tell them that's what that looks like, so they understand the expectations. This is your assessment. A lot of questions I get are like, how do I weed through people that apply? This is how I do it. Because as soon as I tell them how much they're going to have to serve and how much they're going to have to do this, the people I don't need don't call me back. And I don't mean to be, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Please, or what I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to tell you. But this is a very involved process, and like sometimes, like they just can't do it. Like they've already got a ministry commitment or whatever, so it takes them out of it. But sometimes what we get out of this is somebody that just wanted to carry a gun, like they don't want to stand post, they don't want to have to go through another background, and they don't want to have to go through training. And so this weeds out a lot of what you do not want. Just having this interest meeting and showing and just communicating the expectations. So this is a good human performance tool, number one. And number two, it's going to weed out people you probably don't want. Okay. And then in the training process, you can do your second part of the assessment to make sure in the training that they are based on, some stress you put on them in training, whether that be some sort of a scenario-based thing or maybe just a written exam. You can determine whether or not they're going to, they meet the requirements to be part of the ministry. This is the hardest part. We're coming to the end of this thing, maintaining volunteers. I will tell you from somebody who's been doing this a long time, and you can look at me like I've been here all day. I'm tired. I'm going to be here tomorrow night, so I have a 4-day work week here, and days sometimes are 12, 15-hour days plus emails during the week. We're a fully licensed proprietary security organization, so almost 60 team members here have armed guard license, which means there's renewals constantly, there's training constantly. We are personally connected with each other. People lose jobs. We raise money for those people. People on the team have gotten COVID. People get divorced, and so I say all that to say you must be a servant. And you won't always be thrilled to be a servant. I'm just telling you. Like any ministry leader on here, if you're telling me you're always 110% happy and you feel good, when you're dealing with all this, I would ask you what medicine you're taking. I'm coming over there right now to get it. This can be exhausting. Your heart needs, to maintain these folks, your heart's going to have to be in it. That's all I can say. You must continuously engage with these people. The people that are serving this church, you must engage with them. You've got to be their teacher. You must be their friend. And you got to be their leader. They're going to ask you things, and they're going to ask your opinion and leadership on things outside of the ministry when you spend a lot of time with them. And the other part about engagement, I went to my first leadership school when I was like 20 years old. I was in the Marine Corps, and they're all about, it's all about leadership through example, and a big part of leadership in the Marine Corps is you're always spending time with those people, like you're always engaged with them. You're in their business all the time. And, as a young guy, I thought sometimes that was ridiculous, but it bleeds over into this. We are involved in their lives. We're doing things for them all the time. We're doing things together. And so the continuous engagement piece of this and this servant leadership is what keeps them. And here's the other thing that keeps them. This is a three-pronged approach to the ministry. Number one, we are serving the church through physical security. Number two, when we talk about engagement with them, that's fellowship. Like I'm going to go eat lunch with them. I'm going to email them. I'm going to give them ammo. I spent time today with, somebody that's part of this, ministry, lost his job, and his wife works here, and they're going through a horrible time. And I'm, today with some other people in the ministry, just like being with her because she's upset, like she's an emotional wreck, and he's trying to be the man, and we're trying to work, like I'm sitting here having a conversation with her, with somebody else in this other ministry based on a hardship they're going through. Like, you're going to do that as this leader. And so, but that's how you maintain them. And the other part of this and this fellowship is service to the community. Yesterday, I had training at our other campus. We have a playground here by the Learning Center, by the Children's Ministry. And we had, because this is a very generous church, because it's in an affluent area, and there's a lot of money here, and a lot of people give here. And somebody gave a donation to build a new playground that's covered. So in the spring and summertime, when the families leave the Learning Center, the Children's Ministry, because they want to hang out here, they do this in spring and summer, but it gets too hot because the playground wasn't covered. And so, the security ministry last week, the Brentwood team, was here training all day. So they were with me all day doing like single officer, so like active shooter training. And then that same team showed up this Saturday to save the church money to tear down this playground. Somebody on the team owns an equipment company, so they paid somebody to come out and run all this equipment to get this up, while at the same time, there's another part of the team training at the Franklin campus. Like, there's all these moving parts. And so, and in addition to all that, we have service projects that we do with these other outside ministries that have nothing to do with fellowship. But I am told continuously that the reason why they stay is because of what we do for the community. The Krav Maga, the shooting, all the fellowship is fun. It's great. But because we serve the community, these other ministries, and then the other things that we're doing for the church, that's why they keep coming back, And so that's, I don't know any other way to say it, except, you got to be motivated to do this. You got to be a servant, and you got to keep them engaged. You got to make it to where it's almost exhausting. For whatever reason, they're like gluttons for punishment. They'll keep coming back. But if you don't engage with them and you don't keep them busy, they'll leave. That's how we maintain volunteers.